11 o'clock this morning, the Bidens are live on The View here in Gotham City. There's a story in Politico today that says they've hired the former Pentagon spokesperson to manage the Biden comeback. I'm paraphrasing kind of that Joe Biden wants to be out there. The 100 days is over. He wants to be prepared for the books that are coming out that will be critical of him. He wants to speak out against Donald Trump. He wants to defend his reputation. Politico is also reporting that the audio of the special counsel Hur of his interview with Joe Biden that caused her to judge Biden an elderly man with a poor memory, that the Trump administration is going to release that audio and that Biden is gearing up to fight back on all fronts. Now, you could say, as we've discussed, Biden's doing this to fight back, or Biden's doing this for his reputation. I talked to someone very familiar with the Bidens, and I think they've pointed out something that I'm going to say now that to me is the explanation, or at least part of the explanation, which is Biden Inc. has collapsed. All those Biden grandkids had a lavish lifestyle, which they very much liked. Hunter made hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Joe, as a former president, is not in a position to get the same kind of paid speeches, corporate boards, book deal. Biden Inc. needs a source of revenue. And Hunter does, even though he was pardoned and he's not going to prison, Hunter does not have great earning capacity. And you look at the rest of the family.
Wait,
they
wait,
do
wait. The
not,
paintings
yeah.
aren't worth a lot?
No, the paintings are not worth a lot. So what I'm positing for you guys to weigh in on, Dan first, is my source right? Is what at least part of this is about is the reality that Biden Inc. The trough is empty. The spigot has shut down. They need a way to get back in the game to make big money to have the grandchildren fed and clothed and flown first class, etc.
It certainly could be. I think the challenge is at his age, kind of trying to like start a new career, so to speak, a new set of endeavors is very hard.
Who else is going to do it though?
Well, no, I mean that's the thing, right? His brother's been under FBI.
Yeah.
Watch now. You've got Hunter's issues. It very well could be. I just think the challenge for him is in all of these appearances, and I'll add Jill to this. We know what everyone wants to ask him about why he dropped out, about his age, and at least maybe we'll see today something different. He still doesn't have good answers.
To be clear, the irony is I think he's going to set back the cause of Biden today.
Well, that was going to be my next statement.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Kind of just go, yeah. So
I agree, Sean. Let me say it this way: just imagine a normal family, a John Q. Public, the Public family. Okay, the Public family at one point between the patriarch's son and the patriarch's brothers, they were pulling in 10 million a year, maybe more. Right? What's Biden Inc. pulling in at today? I mean,
to quote the great LL Cool J, "Don't call it a comeback."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was ever. I don't think he was ever there. So they're not. I mean, but to your point, I don't know where the grift is over, right? The big guy's not getting his cut anymore, and that's a problem. I get it. They've lived a very lavish lifestyle. The beach house, I got to imagine the property taxes aren't cheap. They're used to a certain lifestyle, but not just them. To your point, the whole family, it was coming from one source, and they lost their USAID funding, basically.
Yeah.
So this is a problem. I get it. But to your point, I don't see where the new source is. Number one, no one wants to know what he thinks. Number two, he doesn't know what he thinks. And that's a bigger problem. When he goes on The View today, to your point, when I watched that BBC interview, he just set himself back. And
you don't think the Washington Speakers Bureau and CA looked at that and said, man, that guy needs to be flown all over the country and the world giving $800,000 a pop speeches? No,
I think they looked at him and said, hey, we're in the middle of a briefing right now. We're going to get back to you.
Yeah.
After the company retreat, like
the family's income has taken not just a hit. It's gone from millions to I mean, yeah. I don't know what he's making now. He got that one paid speech, but that's
what, $400,000 a year as a former president.
Right.
Yeah, but it's nothing like that. I mean,
that's a couple months of Burisma. That's nothing.
I get I get it, but and by the way, just to be clear, they're also someone brought up the library the other day on this platform. You have to decide every day what you're spending your time on. Are you trying to put the kids in private school, or are you worried about where the library is going? Because you can't ask for the same thing multiple times. There are probably some
And I'm
people.
sorry, and just on that point, I've always thought he was going to have trouble raising money for the library because he's not been
Not a
someone
good
who's
fundraiser.
never
Right.
been a good fundraiser, and the donors are not currently in love with him. So
Right.
That's a whole separate money problem
Right. But
for the
when
Biden
when
family.
they give you your three things you're going to do today,
Yeah,
you got to figure out number one is pay the
yeah,
bills.
yeah.
Well, and
But
can
it,
I just want to add though, because Mark, you said part of the, the political story is about how he wants to like take on Trump. He wants to, at least based on what he has said so far, he tried to again litigate the economy that like things were great, which is just not how people felt at all.
right,
He doesn't have
Um,
good answers, even on substance, right? Again, I go back to when Trump came back, he talked about inflation, he talked about the images at the border, which were real, and then Afghanistan. Like he had three issues that were in his wheelhouse. Biden is just like just sits there and pounds the table like things were good. I
right.
did
so
well,
look,
right? It's like
in the spirit of bipartisanship, we got an hour and 45 minutes until the view starts.
Yeah, let's
So,
see
Mr.
how.
President, if you're
Yeah.
listening, here's the thing. Instead of relitigating the past, how about you make some productive suggestions to the future, like highlighting the young people in your party and saying that they've got the fight, the Frosts and the AOC. I mean, he needs to do something that people actually go, wow, that was actually a good
Right.
idea.
All
Or
right.
you can't keep litigating how
All right.
dumb the
All
decisions
right.
were that you.
Closing this out. And again, if you have a question, please raise your hand if you're here on the platform. Serious. I want serious answers from both of you, not jokes, not hopeless. If Joe Biden called you and you were inclined to help him and he said, Dan, Sean, I need to make more money for my family. I need to leverage the assets I have as a former president to get the spigot going because we need more money. What one piece of advice would you give him of how he can leverage the assets he have to do that? Dan.
I'd say, sir, what are you most passionate about? What is it that makes you want to get up and
He's
makes you.
most passionate. He's most passionate about attacking Trump, but that's not going to make him any
Well,
money.
no, but I mean, if it's foreign, like let's pick a subject because you got to believe in it. You got to like.
All right. He says, say he said NATO. How's he going to make money off of being passionate about NATO?
So I would say then go start a like your post presidency focus is going to be on like world relations and Europe and taking on Russia. Then set up a concurrent business that of companies that have an interest in that. And you can both kind of advise, consult like PE funds that want to understand all the different angles of that issue because it affects their business. And then also try to do good, right? You can do both,
Yeah. All
but
right.
you only have a few years.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm not sure that would gestate quickly enough for the grandkids. Sean, what would your advice be to buck rake?
I think there are two things. One, I mean, Dan's idea I get, which is maybe set up like the Biden Center where you pull in a lot of your former aides and let them do the work and you kind of grift off them. That's something that they could probably get behind. So it's you get all the Jake Sullivans or whatever. I mean, get a bunch of them, create this consortium where you're guiding. I mean, that's number one. Number two, potentially start to talk to some of the grandkids about running for office in Delaware because you probably have some good political capital there, but start to build the next generation of people that can say, hey, the Biden family's still in business. And then number three is, I think, start to create this elder statesman view of how do you do what you said you're going to do, pass the torch, highlight the next young people in the party, get seen as someone who doesn't litigate the past but looks towards the future. But I got to be honest with you, this is not an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you want to be helpful to say, because part of what, as you know, I mean, you brought this up, the speeches and all this stuff, people pay. They don't want to, they're in a business. And if they can't make 15-20% off a $100,000 speech, it's not worth their time for
Yep.
all of the logistics to go into it. So it's not a simple proposition that he's asking for. I think the other thing is you got to start thinking about leveraging I mean, Jill Biden still, I think, liked on the left by a lot of folks. Can she go out and do some stuff?
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't know if she's ever made anything except her teacher salary. I have two things, and I did glance at the chat, and I've seen this in the chat, but I had them coming in. One is he'd have to write the mother of all tell-all books. He'd have to expose everything that Clinton's ever said to him, Obama ever said to him,
Oh, I'll tell you what, he did
Bibi.
if he went to grievances, if that was the book,
Yeah.
like if
No,
he wrote the book,
but
that's
he'd
what I'd give him a
he'd
headline.
He'd need a
Mr. President, write a
ghostwriter.
book, call
Yeah.
it Grievances, tell everything
No.
about Pelosi.
No,
I'll buy it.
yeah, but he'd need a great ghostwriter. He'd need to make it like novelistic story of everything, and he'd need to burn every bridge. And number two, he needs to put together some sort of dog and pony show for speeches that people would pay for, and it can't be centered around him. So I don't know what it is, but he needs some sort of thing that people would want to hire beyond hearing Joe Biden rag on Trump and tell Strom Thurmond stories. Those are the only two things I can think of, and I'm not sure they'd work, but that's that.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.